Alright, what's up amigos? I hope everyone's having a great day. Diablo 4 Campfire Talk has just concluded, so I just wanted to go over some of the key points of the discussion in case you weren't able to watch the stream. So I'd say one of the most important things that the community has been requesting and that they discussed today are the changes to Nightmare Dungeons that will go live before Season 1, which drops in mid to late July. Nightmare Dungeons, they want to be a core part of the end game because of the amount of randomly generated aspects to them, whether it's the affixes or whether it's the mob families that are inside the dungeon. So they are actually buffing the amount of XP that you get from the elite monsters inside Nightmare Dungeons, and they are making it so you can make a waypoint directly to the dungeon when you activate your sigil so that you can farm more efficiently and there's less downtime to obtain more XP per hour. Now, another thing that they went over in the stream was resistances and the lack of what they want it to be. So we learned a bit more about how they are working, but they are confirmed to be, again, lackluster and somewhat bugged. So when you enter a different world tier, your resistances go down. This is actually similar to Diablo 2 and Path of Exile, where when you enter a different difficulty, they go down by roughly 15 to 30%. This is what Diablo 4 was intending to do with their resistances, but the problem is that for one, they're going down too much, and for two, they're not really being compensated in terms of value as much as they would like it to be. Now, they did discuss some quality of life changes, and a lot of those quality of life changes, I'm going to be just blunt about it, they have pushed those to the side for the time being. This doesn't mean that they're not working on it. They have confirmed that they are working on a lot of quality of life searches, or quality of life things like searches in your stash. But the biggest thing that they did talk about, for example, is the changes to how we store gems. Now, instead of having a separate tab for gems, they are implementing, or they want to implement gems into the material list, which saves just a ton of space and honestly I think is way better than a gem tab. But we also don't know the specifics behind this. How would we take those out of the material list to sock it into our gear? I guess time will tell. Hopefully they figure that out before Season 1. But I think all of these quality of life changes are going to come in Season 2 because they already have the patch for Season 1 ready to go. Now, speaking of patch, they have a massive client patch coming that has a ton of buffs to different classes, a ton of changes to just different things around the world. Maybe we'll find out if they finally have a structured idea of how they want their dungeons. Now, going over the things that I just went over, I do want to briefly go over just in order my opinions. So the Nightmare Dungeons, the XP is great, but they kept going on about the Nightmare Dungeons and how they wanted you to be able to loot farm the dungeons. And I think they misworded this greatly because a lot of the reason why we farm dungeons the way that we farm is because we like targeting one specific layout. I don't think they understand that, but I do understand that for the longevity of the game, I can see the direction that they're trying to go. Nightmare Dungeons are supposed to be just like mapping in Path of Exile. Resistances, I definitely want resistances to play a more of a role in terms of defensive layering for characters, because there are things like poison damage, for example, that is just way too strong. But it's also not viable just to stack poison damage. It's more viable to stack armor because you get 100% physical resistance modifications from your armor, but you also from armor gain 50% value towards resistances. So they definitely do need to rework that a bit. And again, they stated that they are trying to rework it, but it is a process because it really breaks down into not just one thing, but 10 different little things. And then the quality of life things, I mean, again, I'm ecstatic for the gem thing, but I do have my concerns on how the functionality is going to be, especially if they bring it to the material screen. Are there going to be bugs where you can actually just transfer materials out, potentially trade them, drop them? I mean, I'm for one an advocate for being able to trade gems in general. I still think it's something that doesn't hurt the community at all, especially with the gold value. You only get 4 gold per gem. And for the big patch that's coming up, I'm actually pretty excited for this as well. I'm excited to see if we get buffs to more of the lackluster classes so we can break free of this whole meta thing. I want to see more rapid fire, more flurries. I want to see more minion builds for both Druid and Necro. I want to see a variety of builds and not just one or two that rule the entire game. So yeah, that was my quick recap, amigos. If you enjoyed the information of the video, go ahead and drop a like. I got more content coming out throughout the week. And until next time, take care.